This podcast is supported by The RealReal. Meet Christine. She loves shopping. And this is the sound of fashion overload. Too many fabulous things, not enough space. So Christine started selling with The RealReal.
I've always loved collecting designer pieces. Gucci bags, Prada heels. But my style keeps evolving. Selling with The RealReal? Game changer. I earn more, and they do everything.
Seriously, just drop off your items or schedule a pickup. We handle the photos, descriptions, pricing, even shipping. You just sit back and watch your items sell fast to our 38 million members.
And I get peace of mind knowing I earn more selling with The RealReal than anywhere else.
Exactly. That's the sound of your closet working for you. The RealReal. Earn more, save time, sell fast. And right now, you can get an extra $100 site credit when you sell for the first time. Go to therealreal.com to get your extra $100. Therealreal.com. That's therealreal.com.
Hi, I am Stephanie J. Block.
And I'm Mary Lee Fairbanks.
And you are listening to Season 4 of Stages Podcast, where we go behind the scenes and beyond the resume.
Join us as we talk to some of the greatest talents from theater, TV, film, and more. And then check out stagespodcast.net for past episodes, merch, and so much more. And love where you are now. Stages Podcast is sponsored by TheaterBulls.com, your gateway to official limited edition digital trading cards issued by Broadway's iconic stars. Each card represents a unique work of art, complete with an encrypted certificate of ownership and authenticity. Digital collectibles are rapidly gaining popularity among sports and music fans, and now they are coming to Broadway. Start your collection today for free at TheaterBulls.com. That's TheaterBles. Earn points for exciting rewards, and show your support for your favorite actors. Follow on Instagram at TheaterBulls to stay up to date on the latest releases. Thanks, TheaterBulls.
In 2012, my husband, Sebastian, was preparing himself to be a series regular on an upcoming, very high-profile Netflix series called House of Cards. It was set to star Kevin Spacey, Robin Wright, and directed by the great David Fincher. Sebastian was all kinds of nervous, all kinds of uncertain. That was until he met the costume designer, Tom Broecker. Seb tells the story that he walked into his first costume fitting in corduroy slacks and well-loved, very well-worn shoes, and Tom immediately recognized that these pieces were the look and the essence of Lucas Goodwin, Seb's character. Tom saw the familiar and the comfort and the, in quotes, imperfections as perfections. Tom proceeded to remove his own belt and added it to Lucas's look. It was then that Seb found a calming and a confidence and a real feeling of belonging on this pre-production. He was scared, and Tom dissolved that fear. Tom is an award-winning costume designer. He's currently the designer for SNL and has been with that title and that achievement since 1994. He was the costume designer for 30 Rock, as well as playing Lee, the costume designer. If you're drinking every time I say costume designer, you're probably already tipsy. Anyway, he played Lee, the costume designer on the hit show, which is very meta. He designed for The Comeback, In Treatment, The Big C, and on and on and on. For Broadway, his talents were seen in Will Ferrell's You're Welcome, America, A Final Night with George Bush, and David Mamet's Race, Sideman, and Everyday Rapture. He's also brought a bit of Broadway to the big screen this season in the recent release of Mean Girls. He is a 6-time Emmy nominee, winning in 2014 for SNL, and a CDG, that's Costume Designers Guild, award winner for the first season of House of Cards, and has been nominated again this year for SNL's skit Aubrey Plaza Host. We are so thrilled to have him on the podcast today because with the release of Mean Girls, his dance card has been extremely full. Please welcome the wildly talented, fierce yet kind, Tom Broecker. Tom Broecker, come to stage, please. Tom, would you join us on stage? Yay!
Thank you. I hope it's more kind than fierce, but
Yes. Well, you kind of have to be both, I would assume. I selfishly want to just dive into the cashmere of it all and talk Robin Wright. I know that's probably where you were. Her wardrobe is like the dream of dreams. I don't know what the budget was for that, but every time I would see a handbag, I was like, oh, is that the new Yves Saint Laurent? Or the cashmere that just is, there's a lot of different cashmeres out there, listeners. And you
Yes.
always seem to find the most luxe, even if it was a bathrobe. It was like a luxe cashmere bathrobe. Are you allowed to talk budget for her wardrobe on House of Cards?
Yeah. I mean, the thing, look, Robin, this is the thing about, as you know, actors and playing a part. And I always say half of acting is essence. If you're feeling sexy, you can wear a paper bag and feel sexy.
Right.
It doesn't matter if the dress is cut, all the way up to, the higher part of your thighs and as low as you, want on your breasts and expose as much skin, because we have an idea that that is what sexy is: more skin, more exposure, and that generally is like, oh, that's how people imagine sexy to be. But feelings are essences. And so it's about the essence of that moment. And so, dressing Robin was such a luxury to me, because she was able to wear sort of anything, because there's an inherent
confidence.
Once we tapped into the character, there was sort of the authenticity of the character and the authenticity of the emotions and all of that sort of stuff were able to come out. And my job was to sort of visually reinforce her emotional state. And so we did that, and sometimes it was in high-end cashmere, and sometimes it was in moderately priced theory skirt.
Right,
sometimes
right.
It was
a white V-neck from H&M if she's at home,
100%.
Yep.
100%. And the thing about Robin too, and that show in particular, the secret weapon to that show is having a really amazing tailor. So we could take an H&M dress and make it look like an Alaya dress, which Kate Mara ended up wearing for this one moment. But I mean, it is that thing where the tailor is always your secret weapon. It's like
every piece is couture because it's fitting to the actor at that very moment. Yeah.
Do you find it's easier to work?
Then really truly becomes one of them.
Do you find it easier to work with someone who already has a really clear idea of what they want and what they think the character would dress like, and are a little less malleable? Or do you prefer when they come in and they're sort of a blank slate and you get to just like really help paint the picture for them? What's easier for you, and which do you think works best?
Part of the job as a costume designer is to work with everyone how they are and how they work. And so one person, just because one person comes in and isn't sure and another person comes in and they are sure, you have to work and figure out together, because this job is a collaborative art form. Right. You have to figure out how to work with people. It's the same way with acting. Some actors, once they get into the moment, so to speak, and let's talk about theater. You're doing a show 8 times a week and you've rehearsed, and there are those actors who will give you the exact same performance no matter what 8 times a week.
Right.
And the response to the other actor will be the same no matter what 8 times a week. There are other people who have a little bit of like, oh wait, this is the moment that I'm feeling and I'm bringing it this, even though I have this feeling over here. There's a little bit more of having to respond to the other person. And so that's also what the costume designer has to do. Every person comes into that first fitting feeling nervous, we're all nervous. We're all meeting each other for the first time. And generally the first thing a costume designer says is take clothes off.
Oh my gosh.
And, and so literally you're like naked, exposed, and all of that is coming forth. And all of those things come forth in a fitting. And then it's like slowly beginning to sort of develop. And part of it too, particularly in contemporary clothing and contemporary design for shows, those first moments, you've been having most of your conversations with the director and the script. And so, you have a general idea, because you generally, begin to form. And in those early stages, you could be designing this character without even having any knowledge as to the person who's playing this part.
Right.
So, that happens. And then all of a sudden they cast someone who either looks exactly like you imagined or completely different than you imagined and is going to bring something completely different. And so you have to then begin to think of other ways to approach it. And so it's truly a dialogue, and you have to learn how to communicate and respond and really read those sort of subtle cues that a lot of actors, sometimes actors are very much like, I don't like this, and then you move on, and that's great. Other times actors, you can tell that there's a discomfort, but they don't actually
they won't
necessarily
voice it.
They won't either voice it, or they'll just sort of not say much, or they'll just sort of be playing with things, and you're like, okay, let's just move on, because clearly there is a moment of not really feeling comfort in that.
Right.
And it's important to be able to respond in that way, and to respond and to see those cues that most people aren't seeing.
You were, am I right in saying, born and raised in Indiana? So you're a
That is
Midwest
correct.
boy.
Yes, I am a Midwest boy.
These
Middle child.
designer in you, was that nurtured and fostered there, or did you feel like you had to kind of move away to become?
I think there wasn't a lot of artisticness in my my childhood until sort of there was an underlying, like, art is important in the sense of you should know art, you should know the artist, you should know, you should look at art, you should look at theater and all that sort of stuff. But I don't think there was any way or any understanding as to this could be a career, or this is, because also at that time it was more about, like, if you wanted to be in the arts, you were a performer.
Right.
Oh,
and that's sort of how you saw how to be in the arts.
I have a teenager and a bunch of teenage nephews that are all getting ready to go to college. And I keep saying to them, there are so many more jobs out there than you realize. There's so many job descriptions that you have no idea exist. So if you just go be an extra on a TV show, look around and see all those jobs, because there are a million that you have no idea exist. So when you're out there, and you don't really have it in your life, where did you figure out that this existed for you?
So I was a performer, and let's start it this way. Growing up, there was a little bit of art. Then I put it aside because I wanted to be a child psychiatrist. So that's where I sort of was putting a lot of my focus. But around my freshman year, 8th grade, sort of freshman year, I became involved in dance. And so I started dancing, and then dancing led to some other stuff and performing. And so there was this sort of duality between, like, this thing going on here, which is sort of like, oh, this is just fun. And so I sort of started getting more involved in that, but still not thinking that it was a viable option into a career. I also started to realize something in my life, is that I am not a outcome person per se. And so I think as a performer, and I also began to realize that the rehearsal aspect was more interesting to me than the actual performance. I think as a performer, you want to perform. Like you want to hear the clapping of the audience, and you want to feel that response from them. And so for me, I realized that the door of no, of auditioning and that sort of stuff, became too, not personal, but you have to have thick skin, and you have to really, really, really want that. And for maybe the 15 minutes you get that over the course of a year, if you're lucky, or if you're lucky enough to get on a Broadway show or something.
Is that risk worth the reward? And
correct.
sometimes it absolutely is not.
Correct. And I realized that there were so many more things I was interested in, and so many more things that gave me pleasure. And so I had to start to go, what gives me the most pleasure? But eventually I was just like, I found this career, and people started asking me to do it and asking me to be involved in it. And that's when you have to go, as a child in particular or something, when stuff is coming to you, you have to take note of that.
Right.
Because that means on some level, that is what you are supposed to be doing. You may not be able to know that, But if something is coming your way constantly, that means there's something about it that the world and the universe is telling you
But
should be
you
doing.
used, I notice things that others don't. I pay attention. And so on a grander scale, you paid attention to your own life and the own signs. Marilyn and
Right.
I talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, are the signs already there? And we're seeing them and we're connecting the dots. And that's what's bringing us to this beautiful outcome. Or are we now just changed within and we start to focus in on and really notice what
Yes.
had
Yes.
already existed? Do you know what I mean?
Correct.
It's
Correct.
like there
No,
there are
no, and
these
that
two
and
understandings.
Yeah.
and I think with each person it's slightly different, but I do think it's sort of two sides of the same thing, right?
Yeah.
At the
Right.
end of the day, it's taking a moment and listening to what you
Yeah.
need and have to say. And those moments have to be alone and quiet with
Yeah.
yourself.
Centered.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I think what happens sometimes is we want some, or we think we want something so badly that we
Yes.
try to control every situation, and we just keep banging our head off those no doors, like you said, instead of saying, okay, I have to have this sort of attitude that I can only control my own actions and work hard at something that I believe I'm going in the right direction, but I have to take those no's as little guideposts that might be veering me off to the left when I wouldn't have
Mm.
gone left otherwise.
Mm.
And
Correct.
it
Correct.
becomes about like a balance of hard work and faith, of letting
Yeah.
go and working hard.
Right.
It's that
Correct.
yin
Correct.
yang,
Correct.
that you have to have, and checking in with yourself, like you said, being centered
that
enough
Right.
to know.
The authentic self
Yes.
will find that.
Right.
We want to sometimes be this other thing, and part of my job sometimes is trying to find the authentic nature of what that character is,
Mhm.
and
Like said
playing it
shoes and his dirty corduroys that he wore to his
100%. I mean,
Mhm.
and but that and particularly in contemporary clothing, an actor gets hired to do a role. There's really a reason that door opens and they walk in, and either they have it or they don't have it.
Right.
Even before they open their mouth,
Yeah.
there is an essence coming from that person and from
Yeah.
that actor, which is already putting them ahead or behind
Right.
the other person who is auditioning, right? Just by walking in the room
Right.
and being yourself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it seems like a grander scale, right? So we're talking about being still, paying attention. But I can even, sorry, Seb, I'm using you a lot in this episode, honey, but you're the connector between me and Tom. But something as little as I had never met someone named Sebastian other than the little crab in Little Mermaid, right? But as
Right.
soon as I met him, there was a feeling, an awareness, a spark of some kind. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, there's that. Why is that license plate Sebastian? Oh, there's a Sebastian sandwich on this menu.
Correct.
And it's
Correct.
that easy where you
Yes,
feel a
yes.
little boop, 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 a little knock at your heart door or soul door or mind. And then it's opened and you're like, oh my gosh, all of
Mhm.
this has been here all the time. I just
Correct.
never
Correct.
saw it. Yeah.
Correct. And to that end, it's the same thing in our own lives, though, every single day. Like, it can be as simple as an engagement with a barista. It can be as simple as walking down the street and someone saying something to you. A lot of times you have to be open to hear what is getting reflected back to you, because sometimes that's exactly what you need to hear.
Yeah.
You just haven't been aware that you've needed to hear it that day, and it's coming from a different form. But someone, if you're aware enough to sort of be like, oh, right, that's what I needed to see. Oh, that's what I needed to hear today.
Yeah.
Someone will reflect back to you a lot of times what you think they want to hear, but usually it's twofold. You need to hear it and they need to say it.
Yeah, it's about
Yes.
your own
And
state of mind too, because I mean, like, they say the law of the universe, what you think about grows. What you pay
Yes,
attention
yes,
to grows. So
yes.
suddenly you're paying attention to the name Sebastian, that just grows. That just becomes part of your reality. And then I mean, of course, the classic quantum physics question is, are we creating that reality by our thoughts? Or was it there all the time and now we're just seeing
Right.
it? And it's, that's the whole thing. I believe we create that reality with our thoughts. I think we're 50% responsible for everything that happens to us.
Yes,
good
and
and
we're
bad.
co-architects in
Yeah,
our lives.
completely,
100%.
completely. And
Yes,
so
I believe
being
in sliding doors.
totally
Yes, for sure.
and being tuned into that makes life really magical. I sort
Mhm.
of, it's sort of even like with when someone that you love passes, and then all of a sudden there are all these signs from that person all over the place.
Yeah.
It's just like a fine tuning of where your vibration's at. And when you're looking
Correct.
for it and listening for it, I feel like the universe gives you that gift all the time.
Oh,
And
100%.
and
Yes,
when you're
yes,
out of it, like I've been out of it this
yes.
week, and Stephanie and I were just talking about this yesterday, and I was like, I'm
Your
just not in
frequency is
tune.
just a little. Yeah.
My
Yep.
frequency is just off. I don't know what's going on
Yep.
with me. But I really, and then but you're so tuned into your life and yourself and your moods and your frequency that you know when it's off. And then you can even give yourself
Right.
the leeway to let it be off for a day or two and
Correct.
then get
Exactly.
back.
It's always about taking that breath and giving yourself that moment back.
That awareness.
I mean, you are on a constant go. We'll get into SNL later because that's a beast and a machine
Right,
that
right, right,
is
right.
so out there. But how do you find your still, or do you have a spiritual practice that sets you straight every day?
No, I need a true spiritual practice other than being a spiritual person.
Yeah.
But it is moments of taking a breath and closing your eyes and a minute on the subway,
Yeah.
or a minute that you're not grabbing your phone to do something, or it's taking minutes at a time and just closing your eyes to be still. It could be just getting coffee from the coffee machine and taking the moment as watching that water go through and like letting your mind sort of drift. And and part of that is also just letting your mind drift to a place that is not necessarily pre-programmed into your brain, which I think the phone generally will allow you a pre-programmed moment to have.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll teach a meditation class to teenagers and I try to simplify it a little bit for them. So what I do is I give them a motion. So the motion
Mhm.
can either be you're tapping your fingers or you raise your hand up and then you drop your hand down. And then you train the body, you train the mind to connect with that physical, whatever it is. So you
Yeah.
have your arm up, you take 3 long breaths, and then you drop your arm and you quietly settle in. So then after you keep doing that, the kids start to realize all I have to do is go, and then I'm there.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and so it's like training your mind to connect with the body. That's what mala beads are and rosary beads. It's that repetitive action that help focus the brain into a quieter space to
Honey,
be more
that's the
receptive.
Right.
only way I can memorize my lines.
Oh yeah.
Is by doing
It's
like
like
rosary beads?
okay, no. But the action, if I read off the page
Yeah.
and I'm trying to get off book or trying to be as well prepared as I can, right? You can't bring the story to life until you're in the rehearsal room and that conversation is now
Right,
taking
right.
place with everybody else.
Exactly.
But trying to be well prepared, I cannot absorb those lines until
Yeah.
I can feel the face, or I know I'm crossing stage right, or this is where I grab the hat, and then
Right.
all of a sudden it locks into place
Yeah.
because body and mind are one. At Vivi's school, they call it eurythmy. This kid will come home and she will give us an indigenous, parable that's like 4 minutes long, because there are hand gestures that go with the
Oh
the
yes.
thanking of the
Yes.
farmers and the sun that rises. If you take those gestures away,
Yeah.
all of a sudden those words are not coming as quickly to her or
Yeah.
as
Correct. Yes.
fluently
Yes.
for her.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
that's really interesting. The
It's
movement is
so
very
it's
important.
really funny. I had the same experience with Seb when he was little. He was a little kid and he wanted to
Her
memorize.
son is Seb, by the way. She
Okay,
My
didn't know
son is
Sebastian
Seb
is a
also.
son.
Sorry.
Okay.
Not her
Okay.
husband. But he wanted to memorize a poem. And I said, oh, he was about 5. And I said, okay, I'll say the line and you say it back to me. And the first thing he did was jump out of bed and he starts bouncing around the room and he's moving around. And if I didn't
Yeah.
understand that thinking, I would have been like, pay attention. What's wrong with you?
Right. Sit down,
Focus.
focus.
Right.
And I
Right.
think that's what
Right.
happens at school. These poor kids, they're stuck in a seat. They don't get to move. They're
Right.
yelled at if they move or fidget or, and I think we're so disconnected between telephones and staring at the phones and we're
Yes.
sedentary and we're not connected outside to nature, and we're not, our brains and bodies aren't connected very well. And so I think you're right, Steph.
Yeah, just watch an actor when you tell them in the rehearsal to we're going to do this and you're not going to move. You're going to do everything and you're not going to move your arms. You're just going to say, and you're like, your body freezes, your mind freezes, and you're like, wait, what?
Where am I? What's happening right now?
Yeah.
Okay. So now, speaking to your personality, I want to know what drew you to SNL? Because it is like putting on a Broadway show every freaking week with different
You're in
cast
tech rehearsal
members
every single day.
every week. And then, I'm sure you have to costume skits that don't even get aired that night.
Yes.
Okay, my question is 20-fold. So what drew you there? What to your personality, like what spoke to you, knowing you already spoke about the love of the process and less about the result? So that is SNL in a sense.
Correct. Exactly. I realized that through the course of the many years I have been here, that it's sort of that ideal job for me in that kind of ways, that you put it up, you take it down. You put it up, you take it down. And every week is the same, but every week is different. And so it speaks to that nature of as a human, you want stability and you want things, to be the same, because it's easy to sort of, it's easier when you know than when you don't know. And so but I don't know. I didn't know initially. I didn't grow up on Saturday Night Live when I first came here.
You didn't.
Like, I didn't know. Like, my first recollection of SNL was when I was in grade school. Grade school, like 8th grade, 9th grade, and we had to do a civics assignment. And so I was paired up with this guy named Tim, and Tim and I were to present this like civics, like a social history thing. And so he knew Saturday Night Live, and he was like, hey, there's this TV show, it's called Saturday Night Live, and they do this thing called Weekend Update, and I think we should do that and present it as this sort of format. I'll write it up and do all this sort of stuff, and we can just do it like that. And I was like, okay, sounds good to me. Like, that was just sort of, that was my first, like, oh wait, there's a thing called Saturday Night Live. And then cut to a few, I don't know, however many years later, a friend of mine had been hired, out of college now, and a friend of mine had been hired to take over as a costume designer, and she was hired as the assistant, and she said, hey, come play with us. It's going to be great. And I was living in California at the time, and I sort of was like, Saturday Night Live. Okay, that sounds like I want to come back to New York. Let me come back to Saturday Night Live. And it was, I was here for a couple years.
How nonchalant was all of that? And is Tim freaking out? Do you keep in touch with Tim?
Well, Tim has gone on to a really amazing career as a journalist. I mean, he's worked for like Time Magazine. He was like, no. He's very high up in Time Magazine and like CNN and all these sort of things. So he's done quite well for himself. But so I was here for a couple of years, then I left because I wanted to go to drama school. So I went to drama school.
Wasn't it Yale? Didn't you go to Yale?
Yeah.
Yale drama school.
so I was there, and then came back to New York, and sort of the rest is history.
You hear about the skits when in the week?
So today's Wednesday, so we have a read through Wednesday, and we read about 35 to 40 sketches.
Wow.
And it takes about 3 hours, and then we go into a meeting and we discuss all the sketches. And from those 40, say, we pick 15 to do, and put it in some sort of running order. We break into meetings, and the writers and actors come and talk to the hair, wardrobe, makeup, set design. So we all talk about sort of the idea behind each sketch, and if they have specific ideas. Sometimes the actors will have specific ideas they based a character off of, or have an image that they're working off of. And so that at least brings us to the first initial conversation as to sometimes the writers know exactly who the characters are, and sometimes they've just written something that they think is funny. And so that's when more the questioning of like, well, is this really what you intended? And, sometimes writers write without any idea what the words actually mean. And some of us, and the actor and the costume designer have to sort of go, is this really the intention that you have written? Your words are saying this to me, and this is what your words say to me. Is this the intention?
Right. What are we projecting with these words?
Right. With these words. Now we can change those words, because if you have, this and this, or we can change the idea. What do you want? So what is the intent? And that's a big thing in comedy, because so much of comedy relies on the visual.
Yes.
And so, what is the intentionality? And so sometimes it's just more like, no, this is the idea and this is what we want. We don't care. We just thought those words were funny. So we're actually going to rely on you to make it. And this is what we want. Now just go for it.
Okay. 3 follow-up questions. When you're sitting in the read of 40 different sketches, are you able now to kind of sit back and open and enjoy them and laugh? Or are you listening as a designer and a technician going, ooh, visually that one would be funny. Oh, I can see that one in my head.
I have a very distinctive laugh when I laugh.
Okay.
So the 3 or 4 times that I laugh over the course of a year, people.
So Lorne Michaels hears that laugh and goes, "Okay, this is number
works.
4 year. This one's funny."
Exactly. This one's funny. And so that sort of happens. Because I'm reading it from more, like you said, the technical aspect of it, and sort of imagining what this actually is going to look like, and how is it going to be shot, and what are the difficulties, and is this going to ultimately, is there a funny way, is there something funny or a way to get to it or something like that? So I'm more in the weeds in terms of my own head. It's more, I can see where their laughs are and I can see where they're going for. And, you need a fresh audience and someone who, is going to sit there and do that.
So my next follow-up is, do you guys have a massive warehouse where you pull most things, or does every week have you shop, probably all of it, shopping and building?
Yes.
Or
so both.
All
both,
of it.
All of it. Like you always think that the week is going to be some way, and then it turns out to be not that way. And the thing that's so great about this job is that you think every week, and then every week you're learning something new. And how to do it, and as I say to my assistants and that sort of stuff, it's like every thing you see, you have to be able to see it in a completely different way, as well as the way in which it was intended, say like a jacket. But also think, well, what does the jacket look like if the sleeves are off and you do this and you turn it backwards? And because maybe the thing about the jacket is the fabric's perfect, but the shape isn't perfect. So we can change the shape if we do this, this, and this. Or if we do, we're constantly having to either, a lot of times we have to recreate a political moment.
Sure, because that's changing by the minute.
Yeah. Exactly. And we have this thing, with men in particular, you see these congressmen and their ties, and most congressmen don't buy their new ties every week. So the tie that you see in the photo may be 5 years old, or maybe 4 years old, or maybe 10 years old. And so a lot of times we were having to recreate a particular tie fabric that doesn't exist, because we have to get the visual representation of, current day and current day together.
Last follow-up. Thank you, Mary Lee, for your patience. We had an author on this program, I think season 2. He wrote Regret, Daniel Pink. And he used the phrase, we asked him about his writing process. And at one point he said, at one point you just have to do the Lorne Michaels effect, which is you're not ready, but it's go time. It's 11 o'clock on a Saturday.
Right.
You go.
Right.
Have you been able to apply that also in your life? And has there ever been a sketch where you're like, we're ready? We're actually ready for this one?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So I'll answer it twofold. I think as an artist, I'm never happy with my work. There's always moments of, is this really it? And so you have to sometimes get to that point. It could be the Lorne effect or whatever, where you have to just hand it over, because it was a very big talking point for my life in therapy. It's I'll call it finding the perfect t-shirt. So part of your job as a designer is to what you might want to be the perfect thing for that character, which will constantly make you keep going and discern, everything you look at is refinement, right? So you're constantly refining and refining your thought about it. And maybe this sleeve has to be a quarter inch higher. So, and then the neck has to be a quarter inch lower, and you don't like the ribbing on the neck or something. And so there's something that is going to keep you pushing forward for refinement. Well, eventually you have to get to the point of, this is because you could live your entire life looking for the perfect t-shirt, because every day you will try and see something different, and you will see something else and another thing. So eventually you have to get to the point, and this was the idea, is that for this moment, at this time, at this situation, this is the perfect thing. Tomorrow, it may be a completely different circumstance, because it goes back to that thing. In an hour, you will be in a different headspace. You will see something completely different. Yeah. You will have a different idea or a different approach, and something will come to you and be like, oh. And SNL is a very perfect example of that. You look and you look and you look and you look, and then on Sunday or Monday of the following week, you're like, there's the thing we were looking for in a different store, and a different thing that we hadn't decided we hadn't
the
seen.
Minute you let go.
Correct. And that is also the biggest learning experience I've ever had on the show. There was one thing that we were holding very tight to, and we spent 2 weeks working on it and that sort of stuff. And in the blink of an eye, between 10:30 and 11, it was discussed that we were going to scrap the whole thing completely, and we were going to start anew. And we had 20 minutes to deal with it, and we had 20 minutes to figure it out. And at first you're like, wait, what? Wait, no, you can't do that. We've just spent 2 weeks working on this. You have to throw all of that out, and you have to start fresh. And how are you going to do it? You have 20 minutes to do it. So you do it.
And it might even make magic.
But it's exactly. And it may be better. And it may be that, who knows what it will be. You just have to be present enough to go, this is what it is. And design in that same sort of way is like, at any given moment, you have to throw out what you've been doing and start new. So nothing can be precious. You can't hold on to anything. It's the best job to learn how to detach.
Now, do you apply that in your life?
It's hard for me because I have a storage space. So my way of detaching is to just move it over to storage. So it's like it's like a semi-detached. I'm very
tethered.
detached in my normal existence, but it's also semi-detached because
it's still
I know
there if you really need it. Yeah,
exactly.
That's right.
Yes.
Oh my,
that's cheating. That's totally cheating.
Look, I still have sweaters from that your husband wore in my closet. I have them in my sweater bin, and I saw them last week when I was going through it. Now, how long ago was that? But I just have them there for comfort.
11 years,
yes.
10 years.
So I literally, they're there. I have other things that he's worn and that sort of stuff in my storage. When was the last time anyone wore that? Your husband was the last time that wore.
But then why do you still have it?
Because I'm a hoarder.
Yeah.
I'm a costume designer. It may be the perfect sweater for someone else at a different time.
Yeah.
So, and that's part of my job too, is sort of collecting things. And I do this a lot when I'm shopping, is that going back to this conversation we're having in terms of stuff, is that you see something when you need to see it. Right. So a lot of that time happens in vintage. So you can go to the same vintage place and not see something, but the one moment you see it, you pull it out, and I'm looking at it and going, why am I seeing this today for the first time? And it has been here for 3 years.
Right.
There's a reason I'm seeing it now for the first time. So I must need to get it. Now that's the dumb part. And that's why I don't have a summer house, because I have all of these garments in my storage.
Because my pillbox hat collection is monstrously
exactly
wonderful.
Exactly. Yes.
But I would think that it would be separate from you. Like you would have all of that stuff would be part of your work, so it would all be stored at work. No?
Yes. So yes, it is. It is. Most of that stuff is stored at work. I just happen to have a few things left over that have not migrated to my storage unit. My storage unit is a very ongoing, I have, and I'll go through my closet and just sort of be like, oh wait, these 15 t-shirts need to go over to storage. Oh wait, I haven't worn these pants in 6 years. Oh, I have to take that
He's
over.
fluid. Your storage unit is fluid.
100%. Now, why his sweater is still in my closet, I don't know.
There's a reason. There's a reason.
So I have a question. I want to go back. When you said that you read that you guys would sit at the table and read 40 sketches and then you'd pick 15. Do the ones that got cut come back other weeks and they try to sell them again and they actually make it to another show? Or
yes, that has happened a couple of times where you see that there's something in the sketch, but that it's not necessarily right for this particular host.
Okay.
Or and then we'll be like in a meeting sort of going, well, that sketch is really funny. It just, with this host, maybe it would be, and we see that we may know a certain host might be coming later on in the season or something. And we sort of are like, oh, maybe that would be a really good sketch for that person or whatever. And also the writers work with the producers, talk about the possibility of a sketch coming back that may not have worked that week, but it with some rewriting, the thought of it is really funny. And so there's a chance for it to come back after it's been reworked a little bit.
And do they easily let it go? Do they easily, move on when they're said, no, we're going to cut it? Or is it painful for them because they've worked so hard? Or are the ideas not fully fleshed out because the chance is that they're going to get cut and we're doing this so quickly that they don't put too much work in until it's picked?
Yes.
Yes to all of that. Okay.
It's sort of like there's sort of yes in all of that.
Yeah.
I think there's elements of everything you just said. And I think sometimes people get surprised if their sketch gets cut, or sometimes they get surprised if their sketch gets picked, or sometimes it's super funny and you kind of don't quite know why it didn't get picked, or it's this place is magic.
Gosh, I wish I could sit in that room, because I bet
sometimes you just never know.
Yeah, you talk about lines like somebody says, there's an armadillo and he works at a used car salesman shop. And like, there's no really idea other than this wackadoodle visual where you're like, oh, Will Ferrell would be hilarious on this. We're going to make this one work.
Right,
and it's literally just a little seedling of nothing. Yeah.
100%. And that, and this is a place where everything is up for grabs, particularly once it's been chosen and they go into rehearsal and that sort of stuff. Nothing is sacred and nothing is not off limits to change. So everyone here is on the same page in its adaptability, so to speak.
My gosh, I don't know if my spirit or my constitution could handle that, because that is having a thick skin to the nth degree.
Yeah.
Yes. If you have any kind of control issue, this is not the place for you.
Yeah. That would be bad for me. That would be.
Yeah.
In fact, let's talk about that, because you spoke of collaboration, which I think I'm very good at. Trust is where I have issues, right? So I can see other people's creativity, but their process is so different than mine. Are you very trusting, where you just go, okay, so this is what I see, you three go and pull from here? I don't know what that looks like in order to make this magic work on Saturday.
I think you have to, I think it's twofold. You have to learn to trust in order also to help develop those younger performers and the younger assistants and the people you work with. So you have to nurture them into trusting themselves and to knowing that you are a safe space for them to be able to fail or not fail, or to explore and all of that sort of stuff. And also really be involved in the process. There are very many actors who I work with, particularly hosts and that sort of stuff, who I just have to, who sometimes will be like, okay, I trust you because you do this every week and I'm not part of this process and this process is new to me. And so I'm going to trust you to help me do this collaboration. Sometimes they will have specific ideas and that sort of stuff. And so in the fitting, we'll be like, okay, well, this is sort of what I think we talked about. This is sort of what the writers have talked about. And this is a wild card version of what this character could be. And so tell me a little bit more. And part of the thing about SNL is you have 5 minutes to tell your story. Right.
That's it.
And that's it. It's really truly about the words on Saturday Night Live. It's not really about the costumes. It's about the words. It's about the writing because it's about setting up the joke, and then it's about setting up the comedy, and it's really about the comedy. So it's every now and then, the joke is the costume, but for the most part, the visual is supposed to reinforce the comedy. Yeah. It's not supposed to lead the comedy. It's Carol Burnett was genius and Bob Mackie was genius at that because the costume sort of led the comedy. And that's what that show was. Saturday Night Live is a little different because we try and lead with the comedy and have the visual reinforce that.
What are if I were to ask you, like, your 3 proudest sort of iconic looks, do you have some that come to the forefront of your mind right away?
Truly, I mean this. What I actually hope is that I haven't designed the costume I like the best. I truly think if I've already designed the costume I like the best, then I shouldn't be here because it means you've already done it and you've already done whatever it is you can do. And there's no place to go. So I want to keep going and I want to keep coming up. Look, we fall in love with everything we do, right? I mean, there's Ellen because they're little bits of ourselves that we put in everything we do. So every actor falls in love with a part, whether they really want to believe it or not. They have to fall in love with that part because they couldn't do it any other way. And it's the same thing with the clothes.
So right off the bat, I'm not the most well-versed in SNL, but I can picture Justin Timberlake dressed as the hot dog, right?
Yeah.
That makes me laugh.
Yeah.
The Spartan cheerleaders, those costumes,
Uh-huh,
the 4 Lawrence Welk singers, the sisters. I mean, and you would think, oh, these are kind of pedestrian. That's just a cheerleader. No, it's if the skirt is 3 inches longer, it's not funny. If the sweater fits well in a different way, it's not funny. Gilly, Kristen Wiig,
and the wig. I mean, it is that combination too of without the wig, it would be different. Going back to your thing about Robin Wright. If her hair had not been her hair, there would be it's from the top of the head to the tip of the toe. Yeah. It's the whole thing.
Yes.
So the wig and the makeup and all of that sort of stuff plays into this.
So I know you designed the beginning of everything, the Zelda Fitzgerald TV. That series I loved actually. But that era to design and dress for that era must have been so much fun. But do you have a favorite era that you love to design for, like the funky 80s?
I mean, I mean, it's a little like that thing too, where you go, oh wait, I love all my eras. Every project speaks to you, and you have to get into the thing of the project. But I do have to say, the 20s to the 40s, that sort of 30, the late, that stuff is just spectacular. Yeah. And then, the 70s speak to me in a beautiful way, which is, the 70s is sort of a slightly different version of the 40s, but that sort of
okay. So talk about that, because someone who I'm having trouble connecting the dots from the 40s to the 70s. Is it the fitting of things?
It's the fitting, the way in which if you look at the men's jackets, the shoulders and the nipped in waist and the high waist pants and that sort of stuff. And it's a lot of times designers will reference a particular period that they update, 2023, 2024. If you look back at the 2000s and you can see the referencing of the early aughts into all of the clothes now. If you look at, there's a lot of 80s in,
in the 40s with the shoulder
2010. Yeah,
pads, right? Yeah.
same sort of thing. Exactly. Like you can kind of begin to see where, oh,
A little through line.
yeah, I can see
Mhm.
eras and different versions of different things and all that. Yeah. It's the cyclical nature of churning out clothes and churning out fashion, you know?
Yeah.
What do you
Well,
think's coming back next? The 80s?
I have no idea. I'm always curious. I know that last year, some of the designers were trying to bring back those skinny jeans that, you know, stopped from the early aughts. They stopped at the pubic bone, you know, so your
Oh,
underwear could
heavens.
show and all that sort of
No.
stuff. And it's just like,
No.
it's like, do any of us actually really need that anymore? I
No.
don't think so.
No. My
No.
estrogen patch would show. Nobody needs to
100%.
see that.
It literally is just like, no, there are certain things you should look at and go, nope,
Yeah,
did
we
that.
did it. We're
Doesn't
going to
need
put
to.
that sucker
No.
away.
Yeah, that's
That's
done.
right. Moving on. Next comedy sketch, people. Next comedy
Exactly.
Now it's time for 5 questions.
If we were to call the closest person in your life and say that you have been arrested, what would they assume that you've done to land yourself in jail?
Two things come to mind. Either I've stolen some sort of garment from a department store, because I have.
Because you don't have
Always
enough.
happens. Exactly, but it always happens. There is that weird sort of thing. Is as I'm leaving, I will see something, and I'm like, I don't really feel like going back to pay for this.
You don't have
And
time
yet
to
I
wait in
want
line
it.
again. And yet,
Exactly. So there's that tension. And then, of course, I never take it, but it is that sort of weird tension.
funny.
Okay, so we started something new this year where I pick a word from this book. The book is called The Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows, and it's all these very strange, obscure words from other cultures and stuff. So I'm going to
Okay.
pick a word, and you and Stephanie are going to try to guess the correct
Oh,
definition.
okay.
We have
Okay.
to make up. We don't just guess. We make up our own definition. Okay.
I really
Okay,
loved
okay.
this one when I saw it.
Okay.
Okay.
Maugre. Maugre. It is an adjective.
Wow. Okay.
Maugre.
Maugre. One who carries the weight of the world on their shoulders.
I like that. It sounds to me like something that is distasteful or dislikable.
Oh, you guys,
It
it's
doesn't
kind of
sound positive. We
it's-
both came up
Correct.
with
Exactly.
it's
It
kind
it
of
sounds
a
like a negative
combination
connotation.
of the two.
Yes.
Here's the definition. It's an adjective. It's a fear that you've been mentally deranged all your life, and everybody around you knows, but nobody will mention it to you directly because they feel it's not their place.
I feel like I lived that life. You could
Not
just put
the
my name
best.
under that.
They're crazy, but we're not going to address that.
Nobody bring it up.
We'll just let them be that way.
All right. Okay, this is perfect for you. If we were to walk into your storage unit, usually we say closet to people, but if we were to walk into your storage unit, is there truly one piece, one garment that you will never get rid of because of the memories that it holds?
Yes. So I have it's just like you said, the things that pop off the top of my head. Well, two. I'll say there's two.
You
So
are a
one,
twofold human being. just
I'm
letting you
a
know.
very
Mhm.
well, my rising sign is Libra. So
Okay.
I am very that is
Balance.
what
Dual.
I'm very all about. It could be that or it could be that.
That's right.
So I have the original pink suit that Tina Fey wore in the pilot for 30 Rock.
Oh, wow.
Where I say, oh, she looks dressed like Barbara Bush. And then I have one or two, I think, of the original Robin costumes from House of Cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Keep them.
Tell me something about yourself that not a lot of people know, like a special skill or just something that not a lot of people know about you.
I guess. Wow. I mean, I do like to cook when I have time.
That's a good one.
I don't know. That's
All right, here's the trickiest one. If you were a nail polish color, what would it be? And what's the cheeky little name of that nail polish?
is like that sort of sparkle purple concrete.
Mm.
The name would be Detached Whirlwind.
Oh, detached whirlwind.
I did have a job once where I was working for a fashion company, and that was one of my jobs, to pick the color and name it.
Oh,
So that
that'd
actually
be
was
fun.
a super. That was a
fun.
super fun job. So
That's
yeah,
really fun.
I'm
Yes,
so
it was
grateful.
so much fun. So much
Yeah.
fun.
it
Thank
was
you,
a blast for
Tom.
me.
Oh,
Like I hope,
good.
I hope
Be
it's.
well. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make sure
Yeah.
that Seb reaches out. It's been too
Oh,
long.
good. Yeah,
He
it
wants-
has been too long.
He wants his sweater back.
Well, maybe I will part it if I know it's going to that home.
Bye.
Okay, happy. Okay, bye.
Coming up next, What Struck a Chord, right after a word from our sponsors.
Ah,
That was so fun.
good one, right?
Yeah,
I
so
can't
good.
imagine. Even still, I have obviously a follow-up question, but that whole process is just wild to me. The personalities that would be drawn to that sort of concrete whirlwind, or what did he say at the last there? It's a concrete purple, his color, but it's like a something whirlwind.
A detached whirlwind.
Detached whirlwind.
Yeah.
But it does. It sounds chaotic. It sounds like you have to completely release control. And
Yeah, you have to, or you go
would that be
crazy.
an exercise for me? I would go crazy. That's what
Yeah,
I think
it's
the
hard.
outcome would literally be. I don't think most people could step into, and you see him, and he's almost like the eye of the hurricane. There is a
Yeah.
calmness and a stillness about
Yeah.
him that you can see everything whipping around. And
But
he
I think
stays
you
focused.
have to develop that part of yourself, or you won't survive that job.
No,
You have to it's the go with the flow and just say, oh, we'll figure it out. And, or, because if you try to control in a situation like that, forget about it.
no,
You're going to
you're
be
right.
beating your head against a wall all the time.
Does it feel that way with 5 dogs and a teenage son? And
It really does. No, it does. I mean, my son is actually, people don't
He's a
believe me when I
dream.
say this, but he's the easiest kid. I mean, I never wake him up. There, no door slamming, no yelling. He is so self-determined and self-motivated. I don't even check his school schedule, nothing, because he just does it all. I mean,
That's amazing.
I don't know how I got so lucky with him. But yeah, with the dogs and an old house, like, I have to just let go. I have to let go that my house is not ever going to be perfect, because A, it's old, and B, there's dogs everywhere. But mostly I just breathe it away, because what's the option? I'm not getting rid of my dogs. So
No.
that's
No.
the option.
And I'm usually okay, but that straw that breaks the camel's back is very real. Like, I'll see a pile of books because Seb is reading and writing something, and then Vivi comes home and the backpack drops down, and then we go into the playroom and we play, and then we get ready for dinner, and now there's all the dinner stuff, and then so I'm good with a handful of piles, and then it's just that one pile.
Yeah.
Nobody sees it coming. Everybody thinks there's, balance in the home, and yet that one pile, I go, it's too much.
Yeah, I get that way. I
know?
do.
So I can only imagine going back to like a set. It's Saturday night, it's 8:30, then it's 10, then it's 10:45. You go live in like 15 minutes. And that's when you need the most calm. You know what I mean? That's when you
Yeah.
need to just start
Trying to focus.
unraveling.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
What I find though, like, because living with people, this is what it is, right? Things get messy. This is what happens. You're not going to
Yeah,
get rid of the
people are
people.
messy.
So what I find is, if I allow myself to take control of one thing a week, like if I clean out a cabinet and throw a bunch of stuff away, or if I clean out something in the kitchen and get rid of a bunch of stuff, or organize a bunch of stuff, that calms that part of myself that is craving order and
Yeah. It's not about cleaning
control.
out the closet. It's about controlling what you can control in the
Exactly.
moment.
And I find if I when I'm feeling that way, if I channel it into one thing, I'm like, okay, I think I scratched that itch for this week, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Oh,
Life
man.
is hard that way. So you want to hear some people's, some listener resolutions that people sent in to us?
Oh, I love this. So they actually did come
Yeah,
back
lots of
and
people
let
did.
us know.
Lots of people
Talk
did.
to
But
me.
what I did was I picked just three randoms.
Okay.
So A woman named Molly said she's going to go broad because she feels like every time she's specific, it doesn't work. So she says she just wants to have a courageous, loving, fun, wholesome, happy new year. So I just want to tell you, Molly, you got to get specific. You got to get
Gotta
real
get
specific.
specific.
Because
Well-
if you say, I want to have, fun and in the universe, and then you go for a walk in the woods with your dogs and it's fun, and the universe goes, oh, okay, great. She had fun. Check. So you got to get specific, right?
Isn't that interesting? Because I heard the word broad and I thought like a 1930s Girl Friday, like a real
Oh.
bold, open woman. I was like, all right, Molly, you go broad. Go be that broad. Like
Oh,
B.
that's so
Arthur or
funny.
something. Okay, yes.
All right.
So we recognize, we honor you. Now get a little more specific.
Get specific, Molly. Okay, and then Nan's been listening
Oh,
since
yeah, I
like
know
day
Nan.
one.
Yeah,
Since day
yeah.
one. She
Does
says
this involve dogs or pets? Because I
it
know
does
her
not.
affinity.
Well,
Okay.
no, which is shocking because she's got all kinds of dogs.
I know.
She is choosing hope as her mindset. She she bought a bracelet that has the word hope spelled out, and she wants to live like Anna says in Frozen, just to do the right thing, look for the good, and be led toward kindness, and hopes it shares in the world, rubs off in the world. So I thought that was really sweet.
That is sweet and really timely because Nan, we started this whole thing with some sort of let it go. And then
I know.
Mary Lee's was Frozen. And then we made the joke about Frozen. And now you're like, do the next right thing.
And then Ashley wrote the perfect Sankalpa. She actually worded it perfectly and everything. She said,
Oh,
today I am grateful to be able to go to work and thrive in a job, and I am able to plan adventures because of it. So that's like the perfect, that's a positive, present tense, and specific. I loved it. Anyway, those are
I
just
have
some
to
cute
tell you,
ones that came in.
there is a guy that I follow on Instagram. He makes parodies all the time. Like he'll do skits like millennials breaking up and then Generation X breaking up or being an overzealous adult in Disneyland. And his sketches are hilarious. He saw that I posted from Stages, you and I doing our positive present tense, what we wanted.
Yeah.
And he DM'd me and he said, oh God, I know what my next skit is going to be.
No, he's going to mock us. Oh no. Oh, no.
Oh no. Hold on. I have to do. I have
I'm
to find
terrified.
this guy.
Please be
So,
nice.
so fun. I hope he does. So right now he's got this skit going on where at the top of the year, everybody writes emails and goes, so I'm just circling back. So I want to
Yeah.
circle back on this. Yeah. So I'm just following up and circling back. Clayton Ferris. I mean,
Ferris. I'm going to go follow him right now.
Oh, you have everybody. He is so invested. He's so joyful. It's really hilarious. And they're very, very smart sketches. So I almost think it would be an homage, an honor if he made fun of us in that way. Follow Clayton Ferris. All right.
All right. Well, this was a blast. I love you.
I love you too.
Have
Bye.
a great day. Bye. Stages podcast is produced by Mary Lee Fairbanks and Stephanie J. Block. You can find us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Join us on social media pages or sign up for the mailing list at stagespodcast.net. That is also where you will find Stages swag. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share and rate and review the show. It really helps us grow. Big thank you to Noah Kaiserman and Garrett Healy for the original music, and Allison Arns, who has been with us since day one. See you soon.